on the railways. 28 railway workers and numerous native Africans, of whom, unfortunately, no accurate record was kept. So I have to say, I thought the actual toll, when I wrote my book 10 years ago, I thought that this was lost in the mist of time, how many. But I'll tell you, there was a very interesting development in this, and it had to do with photosynthesis. Now, I don't know how many people in the room have run through photosynthesis recently, but we all know that it's a way for the plants to take sunlight and carbon dioxide and water and produce sugars and oxygen using that. We're all probably aware that most carbon in our atmosphere is 12 molecular weight, but that 1% of it is actually heavier than that. It has an extra neutron, and we call it carbon-13, and it's stable. Now, the interesting thing from our standpoint, and I'll get to the reasoning why, is that most plants, and we're talking about most trees and shrubs and so on, are called C3 plants because they produce a 3-carbon product in photosynthesis. And all of those C3 plants have this characteristic. The enzyme that catalyzes that really discriminates against carbon-13. So these plants have a lot less carbon-13 in their tissues than exists in the atmosphere itself. Now, there are some plants, we call them C4 plants, that because they produce a 4-carbon product through photosynthesis. And there are 2 steps, of course, to do this. And the first step doesn't discriminate at all against carbon-13. And so these plants have carbon-13 ratios much closer to atmospheric values. And so we can use carbon isotopes to separate these 2 classes of plants. What does this have to do with lions? Well, you are what you eat. And here's our carbon-13 here. Here's our atmospheric levels here. C4 plants, because they don't discriminate, are very close to atmospheric levels, and so are the things that eat C4 plants, which include all the grass-feeding animals. C3 plants, trees, shrubs, and the browsers that eat them are far away. So here's our scheme. We can distinguish these prey from these prey by carbon isotopes. With prey now, we're getting closer to lions. Now, there was a student, Justin Yates, who's now at the new University of California, Merced campus, but at the time was a graduate student at UC Santa Cruz, who approached me with this, and he had the simple observation that wherever you go in Africa, whichever population you're looking at, lions are always concentrating on grass-feeding animals. They're always eating grazers. They eat buffalo, they eat zebra, they eat wildebeest. They don't eat browsers. Why does this interest us? Because people don't eat grass. And there's our story, because if a lion is eating people, he's not going to be in this part of the curve. He's going to be over here somewhere. And we can use the degree of displacement into the C3 zone as an estimate of how many people they ate. So what we did was we went to Tsavo, and we gathered grazers and browsers, and I showed you the map of precipitation. And in one part of the park it's wet, in another part it's dry, and we wanted to factor that out. So we have both Tsavo east and west. Here are the grazers, and it's close to atmospheric levels over here on the right. Here are the browsers, that's close to, it's far away from atmospheric levels. And we even had this one population. It turns out Louis Leakey, when he was a graduate student at Cambridge, had picked up 6 skulls and had taken them back to the Duckworth lab at Cambridge University. And so we actually had people as a reference sample in our, now where would lions eat? Well, we needed some normal lions, and so we went to Tsavo, and there are a bunch of cattle rustling lions that Kenya Wildlife Services had to dispatch. They weren't eating people, they were eating cattle, and cattle eat grass, and as expected, their population plots right over here with grass feeders the way they should. And we had bone samples from the two Tsavo lions, the one with good teeth and the one with bad teeth. And as you would expect, the one with bad teeth had a really strong displacement towards the C3 end of the spectrum.